All right, everybody. This is D-Boy from the West Coast Uncensored, coming at you again. I know it's been about a week or so since I did my last podcast. I've had some things going on, had some family emergencies, illness in the family, so I had to do some. I did some traveling. I did take a vacation, and after that, immediately I traveled again to go see a aunt that wasn't feeling well, and she's actually an older aunt, and it's she's diagnosed with cancer. And don't want to go too much into it in this because this is about the podcast. But went and seen her, visited her. It was very important to get that connection with her, and she's definitely holding on and doing okay. And it was good to see her and spend the day and with her and her family and my uncle, who are both in their 80s. So that kind of threw me. I kind of had missed something I do every Friday, but it was okay. It's important to see family in need and help people and be part of your family is a very powerful connection to yourself. So I kind of went on that voyage. So it kind of threw me off a little bit on my podcast. So this follow up podcast is going to be is about following off the last higher side chat I did, which was called Innerstanding, Understanding, and Overstanding. And this will be the I had a good name for this. I was thinking about, I do higher side chats, and this is really, higher side chats is a leading into what the next podcast will be, which will be more in depth about what we're going to talk about. So this will be the understanding and overstanding, but also this will be part of that. And I'm looking for a name for that. I'm kind of thinking what I want to name this show. I got my lead in, my little teasers, my appetizers, higher side chat, and we'll call this kind of like another group I'm in has a really good name, but I don't want to copy them. Let me think about that. I'm going to name it. I'm going to give it a name to distinguish it, and then we'll put it on this. Follow us also on YouTube and on my website. dboy at westcoastuncensored.com is the website. And also dboy West Coast Uncensored. I am on YouTube, and that's where you can see me live. I do record live here with some of my new equipment, and if you're not live here with me and you're going to hear this on Anchor, you won't see it, but if you go to YouTube, you see it. I got a little bit of background here, looking beautiful, looking good. I got a few different ones, so I will change them up. They are definitely expansive type, raise yourself and your consciousness and your capabilities to your very firm. This is what West Coast Uncensored is about, to your very pinnacle of the peak of your temple. How far can you take it? What is not impossible that you believe you can attain and live in a frequency that you could get in? It's a lot of work, man. It just doesn't happen because it happens. We break this podcast. We break tradition. We broke tradition. I mean, this podcast is way past. If you're open to it and you're coming in new, it's good. Listen to some of the old ones you'll find on Anchor. Hit me up on West Coast Uncensored on Facebook. I will definitely share and send you some stuff. But this is definitely for them who are ready to go to the next level. They see well. They are seers. They are alchemists. And they are creators. And they're ready to take their stuff to the next level. This is not for a rookie, a beginner, and a neophyte. This is not about dogma, religion, and this, because we reveal what that is. It's whether somebody can tell. This is going the next level stuff. So let's get started. Higher side chats. Let us into this one. And it was called Innerstanding, Understanding, and Overstanding. One of my friends that comes on, that definitely is on our Facebook page from England, definitely brought this out. And definitely I have heard this. I definitely understanding, but the understanding and the overstanding is something that we were never really taught. We're taught to understand. But if you notice, it's kind of like the underneath, kind of like the living in the underworld somewhat, under it all, being, and I understand why. It's kind of to keep you underneath. And there's nothing wrong with understanding. But understanding will definitely reveal, is only a part of it. That's why in Masonic teaching, there's talking about going into degrees. And going to school and getting different degrees is about degrees, right? going and get your associate degree, and then you go get bachelor degree. And all that is really copy of mystery schools. The degrees, when you go get a degree, it's really about learning to alchemize your fire, because degrees are about heat. So you can ask somebody with a master's degree this from a university, they wouldn't even tell you that, because the prelim of the foundation of what it is has kind of been stolen. It's not from the custodians. It's been used to get a certificate for a job to be really about, and a lot of the knowledge is just not really knowledge. It's kind of a lot of I'm just going to say it's miseducation at best. Not to say there's not some things you can't get out of it, but it's a lot of programming. But notice the getting a degree, a bachelor degree. Well, what's a bachelor? Bachelor is somebody who is not married, right? Think about it. It's actually usually put on the evidence of a bachelor degree is put on the male. And because a bachelor is a male that has not been married, he has his bachelor party before he decides to go into the extended relationship with his fiance, or the woman he's marrying, which goes into energy too. I'm going to break this down metaphysically. So if you're talking about getting a bachelor degree, it's a degree that would still not have you tied into knowing how to balance the feminine and masculine, because it would be really masculine, and not telling you how to balance the feminine, because you're single. You're single degree. You're not balanced. You're actually imbalanced because you don't know the feminine aspect. You have not connected with the feminine aspect. Think about it, because that's what it is. If you want to go into the next level of understanding, that's what it's a copy of. The mystical teachers would have the mystery school where the priests would teach the mysteries of things, and this was definitely happening in Egypt. This was happening in some of the other areas of the world, would have these type of priests, and a lot of them were priestess. Come on now, let's bring it. A lot of them were built on the feminine aspect, because there's a proper way to build this. So that's why you would have bachelor. It would actually, bachelor would be somebody who's not, as a male that's not married yet, and he's getting ready to, in a bachelor party, he's getting ready to have his last days of being single as he gets connected to his mate. So metaphysically within, if you're getting a bachelor degree of heat, because that's what a degree is, heat of understanding and learning. The degrees are 360. They're not 1, 2, 3, or 5. Come on now, break it down. It's about breaking down the system too, and finding the truth in the system. So if you get a bachelor degree, it really keeps you only halfway. You're actually imbalanced in your pole, because you don't know anything and have not connected to the feminine aspect of yourself, because it's about Mary and that within you, the male and feminine coming together, the left and right hemisphere coming together. Come on now, let's take this. We're talking next level stuff. Ain't going to teach you at the university. Ain't going to teach you at religion. It ain't coming from there. They don't bring it. This is, be honest. This is the next level stuff, people who are yearning for this. So let's get into this a little bit. Just a little thing. Another thing I'll mention, do you ever understand why they call your in your house, I'm going to leave you a little bit of taste of some bachelor and feminine aspect. In your house, you have to have an internet. Why? And what's the internet called? It's called Wi-Fi. Why is it Wi-Fi? Wifey. What is it talking about? Feminine aspect to connect in your house. Bingo. Check it out. Let's get into this. Now, I just gave you some innerstanding into overstanding. It could be a little understanding. When you get it, you kind of can look under, and I'll show you now. Let me get these. So here's a little innerstanding. Innerstanding is the natural point of understanding and overstanding. It's a neutral point, excuse me. Neutral is balance. This is the zone of understanding, where this is the very first aspect of where you should start having understanding as you begin at this pole of understanding. That's why it's your intuition. That's why all the great teachers, of whether it was anything from the Western all the way to the Eastern, always emphasized one thing, that it was within you, and it was about you, and it was within you, and you could be that which I am when you realize that you have that same aspect in you, whether it's Christ, where it's Buddha, you can become Buddha too, and Jesus always said that you can be just like me because I dwell in you. And that's all of the same aspect. Quit looking for history in that. It's all metaphysical. It's a story for you to go to a higher place. And here's the balance of it. I've did so many videos and some podcasts on balance. Balance is the coup de grace. This, you've got to be balanced, because if you're not balanced, you're only one other aspect. And the dualistic theme of this world, of this reality and the physical, is imbalance. If you're leaning heavy to the right, heavy to the left, guess what? You're imbalanced. That's why they got you on politics, not because you think politics is about, oh, government's this and that. No, it's not. It's a political game. The political game and the political science is balance. Because if you're left or right, Democrat, Republican, if you're one side, you're imbalanced. And then you got the other side, the dual aspect of the other side of the pole. They know it's a pole because it's called politics, politrix. It's called politics because it's pole science. It's balance science, not what they give you of getting government from. It's a game. But I'll stop there because it's not about that. But notice, this is some overstanding I'm giving you by saying these things. But listen to this. With the knowing coming to the place of the acceptance, not being skewed by the human consciousness, the ego, thus eradicating the I am presence and replacing it we are, seeing all as one, seeing the together. So what I see with understanding and what it's talking about is going to a neutral pole. If you're a neutral pole and you're balanced in between both, it's kind of like even balance. There's even a whole story about the balance of the superior brachium that in the brain. You see the superior brachium, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. I'm not going to go because that would be a whole 20 minutes on itself. But it's the balance of yourself. You're balancing yourself in the middle. You're in the middle. What does it happen if you're able to find that place? It's your most created aspect of yourself. Why? Because if you're in that balance of the neutral part of yourself and understanding, guess what? You won't be judgmental and you won't lean heavy to the right, heavy to the left. You'll be balanced, neutral, where actually is your greatest component of learning power. That's why we meditate, is to get into that neutral place of taking no thought, not having the right brain go, come here, this way. If you notice it, attention is always, even with the system, even with the news, even what's outside of you, is always bidding for your attention. The attention is when you go outside yourself, out of your inner standing to give attention outside of yourself, you come out of a place of balance and you go into a place of imbalance. Imbalance is neutral. Balance is neutral. So you go to the balance. So you're able to aspect every part of the pole, and you have the power to look to the left, look to the right, and balance that in. That's why we have how this works is why are there earthquakes? Because you have a shift of poles both tugging with their energies, and it shakes the earth. That's why you have an earthquake. That's why you have the North and the South Pole. Those polar opposites are actually working. That's why you have a magnet. Magnet will either go into each other or repel away. Hear what I'm saying? Or repel away. If it's going into each other, there's a connection. This is a place of connection because you have the aspects of left and right, and you're tying this all into you using it into your fullest. So understanding is the action of state of attaining or having. Attain spiritual knowledge or insight, in particular awareness, which frees a person from the cycle. The key enlightenment, it's kind of like in the way of Buddha, or realization, is the act of becoming fully aware of something as a fact. It's kind of when you start saying, I know something. I don't just believe something because somebody told me this, or this doctrine told me, or the key thing about your religion is believing. The knowers of the gnosis, or the Gnostics, said, and this goes with even what's happening now. It's not about believing. It's in this new age that we've entered in. We're in the beginning of this new age, of the Aquarian age, is not an age of believing. That was the Piscean age. That's why you see in the religion of Christianity all these things about you got to believe, because that's the Piscean age. Jesus with the two fish, which people put on, it's Pisces. It's the Piscean age. It is. It ain't, I don't think so. Or, well, that's not what it is. It is. Of course they ain't going to tell you. It's a religion. They're not going to tell you what it is. They'll tell you it isn't something and then turn around those who created it and do the thing that they told you not to do. That's called dogma. Hear what I'm saying? That's another story. But this is because you start knowing, and as you start knowing this, and you're aware it's a fact, you have a realization, and you create a common structure. That is an understanding. And also, I'll tell you what an understanding is. It would be if you were to create a building, and you build a building, you would stand underneath it. And this is what creators and builders do. This is Masonic teaching, that if I build a structure and it has a bottom floor, and then you want to build a floor above it for a second floor, third floor, you have to understand how this bottom floor under the second floor works under the bottom floor, and it has to have a structure that will hold it. That would be understanding. Hear what I'm saying? Your understanding is helping you build into the next level. First, it's the understanding, the stabilization, what you're doing. It's your focus. It's your blueprint. The understanding. Hear what I'm saying? It's a blueprint. One more time, it's a blueprint. Then you take the blueprint and the understanding and realize, okay, I want to build upon my house. You're the house, connected to the house within. We go into even cosmology on that in the houses. This house, your temple, your superior brachium, and all those stuff, that everything is called within you. The 33 bones from the top of your neck to the bottom part of your coccyx is 33 bones. That's where you get a 33-degree Mason in the structure of what it would be in truth. Not manipulating people that we've seen in the world now, but in the truth, because there's nothing wrong with it. It's what did you use it for? Because it's not nothing they created. It was something they stole from the custodians who created it or came up with the knowledge. Anybody that steals something from somebody else isn't the custodian of it, so they won't take care of it the way the custodian of it will do. They'll actually manipulate it. Usually if they stole it, they're a thief, so they're stealing for a reason, and this reason is usually accumulating wealth, power, but the foundation's a thief. That's why you would see that. So understanding and common structures, even economic, this would go into economic, this would go into all this stuff, would go into that structure. You're starting to be a creator on the highest level, and an awareness. Why awareness is so? Because you're aware. You're aware how things work. You see the matrix within the matrix. You see the sub-matrix. When you start seeing the sub-matrix within the matrix, that's where the word comes into the rabbit hole. You start seeing there's holes and holes within other holes of where this egregor, look up the word egregor, comes from, how it's structured. But it's built on the backs of people, that if the people stand under, notice these three words have understand. It's about standing, learning to stand, and not be using a cane. You start being able because you can stand. Cain and Abel. Cain represents somebody holding a cane, represents somebody who cannot stand fully because they're ill, sick, or disabled. Hear what I'm saying? So they're able to what? They're able to stand. You're able to stand, right? You're able to stand. That's why you need to understand in the foundation, understand, and then we're going to go into the next one. So notice this: common economic structures, the structures of reality, the structures of creating, seeing how your temple's built, how your consciousness is built, how your subconsciousness is built. This is all truth. This is what we're really all about here, is because I'm finding